therapeutic application. Now, I have to tell you that my late father was the discoverer of the classical therapy of Parkinson's disease. In '61, he discovered L-DOPA, which is now the classical therapy. And he got patients from all over the world, including Mao Zedong. But many Americans, also German, patients were, overloaded with L-DOPA. And let's put it this way, that was such a high dosage that L-DOPA did not work. And the patient, they're shaking, and also they're stiff, and became, moveless. And he asked me, George, I paid your study in biochemistry, think of what we can help. So I looked up the biochemistry textbook, and L-DOPA needs NADH. So I offered him NADH, and he used it in a patient. And I want to show you a 3-minute video of what this patient looked like before and after. Here we are. That was a 55-year-old patient showing the typical symptoms of Parkinson's disease, as you may see in a minute. And he got an infusion of 25 milligrams of NADH.
The classical therapy of Parkinson's disease is substitution of the dopamine deficit by its precursor L-DOPA. We have developed a new therapeutic concept, the stimulation of the endogenous L-DOPA biosynthesis in the brain of Parkinsonian patients by NADH. Its beneficial clinical effect is demonstrated on 3 cases.
Wir wollen zeigen, was diese neuen Medikamente bei ihrer Krankheit können. Sagen Sie mal das Wort Elektrizität. Elektrizität. Artillerie. Artillerie. Ja. Und jetzt stoßen Sie einmal mit den Händen nach vor.
This patient is a 52-year-old biochemist working in an analytical laboratory. He suffers from Parkinson's disease since 4 years and was treated with Madopa, the classical medication. In spite of this therapy, his disability deteriorated and could not be improved even with higher dosages of Madopa or other additives. The patient has difficulties in getting up from his seat and in walking. He moves forward in small, tripping steps. After infusion of 25 milligrams of NADH, the patient's disability improved considerably. The mimic was more animated, the pushing and jumping ability was incomparably better to that before the NADH treatment. His walking was remarkably improved. The left screen shows his walking before, the right screen 1 hour after NADH treatment.
This patient, and you should know, this was done in 1988, so 25 years ago. And this patient is still alive in the same condition. He's now 82. Is doing walking, etc. And I want to show you another picture. You may recognize this young boy here. And this is my late father in summer of '96, and he passed away in December '96, and he was the discoverer of the L-DOPA therapy. Now, the problem I had, he's had a lot of patients coming from all over the world, and after they were treated in his clinics and they went home, they had nothing to take. So he said, you must make me tablets. Easier done than said, or easier said than done. We took NADH, blended it with milk sugar, the most common filler of tablets, compressed tablets, and after 4 weeks in the refrigerator, all NADH was gone. To cut a long story short, I pointed it out, NADH is a very sensitive substance. It reacts with air, with oxygen, with water, with oxidizing compound. So lactose is an oxidizing compound. So it took us 4.5 years of extensive research to find the stabilizer and the filler which did not react with NADH. And we found it, and we made a bioavailable form of NADH, absorbable form, and we got worldwide patents for this formulation of NADH in stable form. And to let you know, there are a number of fake products on the market. They are unstable NADH, and if you have them analyzed and it says 10 milligrams, there are less than 2 milligrams into the tablet. This is consumer cheating, and you can sue them if you want, but it will cost you a lot of money and it will have no effect because they will keep going. Now, we did studies on Parkinson's disease, more than 800 patients, also with chronic fatigue, and with Alzheimer's disease, and also with depression. I want to just outline and summarize the individual studies. 470 patients who received NADH intravenously, 425 orally, and 95% improved in terms of mobility, depression, etc. That has been published. The next, and yeah, this is a good point, that has been published by my father and me and some colleagues. And these studies were confirmed by colleagues in Germany. You know what that means? If German colleagues confirm Austrian medicine, this is sensational. It is, definitely. So this is the publication from the German group. They confirmed the study. Now, chronic fatigue, we did a study at Georgetown University in Washington, and we found that 22% of chronic fatigue patients improved after 6 months. What we learned, we only used 10 milligrams, which is much too low a dose. Now we are giving chronic fatigue patients 60 or 80 milligrams. That has also been published by Georgetown University, and Alzheimer's dementia. We did 2 FDA-approved studies. We submitted the documentation with all toxicology, chemistry, as you will see here. We submitted that. And in between 4 weeks, we got approval from the FDA. We can start with the study because our substance is so safe. Usually it takes 6 to 9 months to get approval and go decision from the FDA. And here are the results. Georgetown made a study with 17 Alzheimer's patients, and after 6 months, they found a slight but significant improvement of certain cognitive function. This is so far the first and only substance which leads to an improvement. I mean, the 3 or 4 Alzheimer's medications which are on the market, they do not improve, but they only slow the progression. And anyhow, there was another study at the University of Zagreb with 47 patients, and also there was an improvement, which is summarized here. This was the beginning of the study, and after 6 months, this bar shows the NADH group, which is an improvement, and this bar shows the placebo group, which you can clearly see a decline. You know, the problem was to find patients with the same degree of disability, but we published that with several publications. That was the product we were using, and the NADH constant energy was a 10 milligram tablet, and we only treated them with 10 milligrams, which is again much too low now. Depression. My father did the study and found out that 90% of the patients improved, but the funny thing is some after 5 days, and some took a year to improve. So not every depression is the same. I have one depressed young boy with 35, and he suffered from depression for 7 years. He took all antidepressive, and he experienced all the side effects he can imagine. And then he looked up the internet and found, oh, NADH is an antidepressive. I go to the pharmacy and buy NADH. So we bought it, but it was not our product. This was a fake product, and it did not work. And they say, oh, Birkmayer is a crook, that doesn't work, everything is junk. And by chance, he found our product. And he wrote me an email and said, after the 2nd tablet, I experienced an effect. Oh. And this is, I mean, really incredible. And you can try it out. I mean, as I will show you later, we did see the effect in 10 minutes. There is no supplement in the world where you can measure the effect after 10 minutes. We have at least 4 or 5 medical instruments where you can measure the effect of NADH. And we discussed it at lunch. There is a game in the iPod or wherever, you know, where you can measure reaction time. If you play that game and after a minute you have a reaction time, let's say of 20 seconds, then you take NADH and next you have a reaction time of 10 seconds.